Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. My name is Guthrie Thomas. I'm a recording artist, songwriter, and guitarist, among other things. And I've been asked by many hundreds of people to do a sort of a small demonstration on some of the things I do on the acoustic guitar. All right, what I do is I use what they call alternating bass. Now, alternating bass, when it comes to finger picking, is the most difficult guitar style anybody can learn. It takes a good deal of time, and it comes to you all of a sudden. You start out and you can't figure it out, and then all of a sudden you can do it. That's exactly what happened to me. I learned alternating bass and was very attracted to it by the man that actually introduced it. His name was Mississippi John Hurt. It was in 1965, and he was incredibly good. He was a black Delta blues player, and he could do it like this, like a master as he was. It took me, from what he showed me, personally and gracefully, that how simple it seemed, and it appeared to be rather simple. However, I found out that was not the case, as will you, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. It goes like this. Now, first, when you buy a guitar, make sure you get somewhat decent one. You don't have to spend a fortune on them like these two behind me and to the right of me. This is a Martin Custom X Series guitar. It's a dreadnought guitar. It was $465 out the door at Guitar Center. I do not work for Guitar Center, and I do not work for Martin. I say it because it's an absolutely exceptional guitar, especially for beginners and intermediates, and I would have absolutely no problem recording an album with it, and I have 52 albums out so far. So, when you take a music lesson, they're going to teach you everything in regular tuning. That's a regular C, G, D, A minor, and so forth. That's fine, except you're stuck down here. You cannot do other things up here in the upper register. So, get yourself a capo. This is called a Kaiser capo. I don't work for Kaiser either. I have one on the 2nd fret. I tune this guitar to open D, which is D-A-D, F sharp A-D, which you can look up on the internet very easily and hear it. And then I put a capo on the 2nd fret, and now it's E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. Now I play in that key, so you can move this up another 5 steps, and it's a different key. Now, there's only 12 notes in the chromatic scale, and 24 unique tones in music. There is not a 25th. And all musicians and all instruments abide by this following little scenario of how music actually works. You can stare at tablature all day long if you like, but you cannot think of two things at once. You need to think about your guitar. If you read music, which I read tab and music, and I never, ever look at tab or music when I'm trying to play something. So, tune your guitar to an open tuning first. Open D's a good place to start. When you put a capo on the 2nd fret, then it becomes open E. That's your preference, but it serves a second purpose. It lowers the action of your guitar, making it easier to play. The action is the distance from your heaviest string, the 6th string, the bottom of that string, and the top of one of these silver things. The spaces in between are not the frets. It's the silver things that are the frets, and your fingers go in between the frets. Now, once you're in open tuning, that's what it sounds like. The most important thing about it is it frees up your left hand. You're not just stuck down here playing chords. You can move up here. So, being able to move from the bottom register to the upper register and then back at any time you choose is the benefit of starting out in open tunings. You cannot do that in regular tunings. And the first thing you want to learn is the first thing that I learned. It's called alternating bass. This is what it sounds like. That's it. Alternating bass. You're alternating between the sixth and the fourth string. As you get a little further, you alternate between the sixth, fifth, and the fourth. Very simple. Now, you just practice that a couple days and it'll be like a walk in the park. The difficult part is the four fingers that you have remaining. Now, the easiest way to learn how to use those, but your thumb has to keep the alternating bass going all the time. That's the difficult part, because these fingers are not doing the same thing as your thumb. It's the same thing with the piano. The right hand is playing one thing, the left hand is playing something else. However, with the guitar and finger picking, the thumb is doing one thing, the four fingers are doing another thing, and your left hand is doing an entirely different thing. So it's not as complicated as a piano can be. However, it's a little more difficult in some aspects. And now, we'll talk about syncopation. Now, syncopation is when you have alternating bass going, and it has to keep going, and then you just throw in a high string. Now, you don't have to do anything with your left hand yet. Just pinch the high E string, same time that you hit the sixth string. That's called a pinch. Now, you can do that between the sixth and the first, and the sixth and the second, and the sixth and the third. And that is the beginning of finger picking. However, that's simple finger picking because you're just pinching the strings at the same time. The difficult part is separating your fingers from your thumb. Your thumb has to keep playing the alternating bass. And then the syncopation means that your fingers are no longer just pinching. They're playing also in between the alternating bass notes, such as. It may sound complicated, but it isn't. But then again, I've been playing 50 years, and it takes a little bit of time. So, syncopation is something that you really have to learn if you're going to be a proficient finger picker. Now, again, what you want to do is figure out a pattern for yourself, a simple pattern. That's as simple as it gets, but that is also syncopated playing because you're hitting some of the notes in between the bass notes. Now, you can do that in any chord. It's a matter of just practice, patience, and persistence. It's not difficult. What's difficult is to become proficient at it. Now I'm going to go over some of the little things that add to your talent in playing, basically. One of them is called the harmonic. That's two harmonics. It's done on the 12th fret, but you only lightly touch the string. You can do it on the entire fret. You can do it on the 5th, 7th, and the 12th. But you can also do it up here, if you know what you're doing in the middle without any frets. Now, that's just the harmonics. You can look those up on the internet of how to do them exactly, and you can add that into your playing. And the second thing is the slide. That's all it is. You're sliding up on the neck. Hit the notes, slide, and get used to where your fingers are. And then you add in a harmonic. 4/4 things. You got your alternating bass going, you've got your right fingers working in syncopation, and you have your left hand working in accordance with what your right hand is doing. All right, then let's talk about the hammer-on. All the hammer-on is you hit the high note, and then you hammer on with one of your fingers to that particular string that you just hit. Now that was a hammer-on first, and then a pull-off. That's 3 notes, and you only hit the string once. Now, that's a hammer-on and a pull-off. Now a pull-off you can just do. That's 2 notes, but you only hit the string once. Now, these come in real handy when you want to make your particular song you're working on a little more interesting. So now you've done all 5 things, and that's pretty much as easy as it gets. Now, that's about as simple as I can play. And remember that doing things slowly is far more emotional and heartbending than it is to play fast. Now, playing fast is impressive. However, it makes your song 1/10 as fast. So now you've got another 40 minutes to fill in. The slower that you play often is more emotional and better understood by most people, unless you're just trying to impress people of how fast you can play. It all just depends on where you want to go with the guitar. Now, I take the guitar very seriously, and I once asked Doc Watson when he was alive, when I was very young, what was the most important thing about the guitar as far as he was concerned. He said accuracy and cleanliness, not the speed. And he was one of the fastest flat pickers ever alive in the world, and one of the very best. He played fast, and he was exceptional at it. However, he was just as talented playing a slow song, and he was 100% blind since the day he was born. So he had feeling with 100% of his fingers. That's difficult to say for most people. If you really want to become good, then practice and play with emotion. Emotion is very important. It doesn't matter if you're a great singer, and it really doesn't matter if you're a great player. But if you're a great feeler, then other people will feel it as well. Other than that, I don't have much else to say. I hope this helps the beginners and intermediates. That's who it's meant for. The advanced can take care of themselves. Now, I don't take fame too seriously. I've worked with some of the most famous people in the world. I have 2 albums out plus 50. That's 52. I've been doing this for 45 years. And you have to start someplace, and I started in the same place that most people start, with a few guitar chords. So, but try to learn from those on YouTube. There are many great players on YouTube that can show you little things up close. But again, take your time. Now that last thing is called a bend. I'm bending the note up. But you can also bend the note down. And you can bend any note. that was a bend with a pull-off on the low E string. Start in open tuning, you'll learn a lot quicker, and anything that you can play in regular tuning, I don't care what song it is, you can play in open tuning. The only difference is the position of your fingers. And all of these chords are available in every tuning on the internet. Well, good luck. Thanks for dropping by. And I do wish you the very best. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or drop me a note. I'll be happy to answer it. I don't look at fame at all seriously.